baby metal with metal resistance, and before we begin, there's something I need to take care of. And see, we've talked about this band now 4 different times. This will be the 5th. First of which was a Who Are They type of video. Second was for their first record, and we've talked about 2 singles now, Karate and The One. Both are on this disc. And there have been some glaring similarities that have been throughout all 4 of those. Some references to anime and the whole idea that many people within the true metal elite are not comfortable with this band. I'm going to do my best to try to not have that in this video in any way, shape, or form. It's going to be really, really difficult, more so for the second part, considering this is a band that, like it or not, does make some people uncomfortable. It makes them uncomfortable because they have a very cornerstone idea of what true metal is, and anything that's a little bit out of that ordinary tends to cause fear. It tends to cause stupid comments. But let's get started. 12-track affair here on Metal Resistance by Baby Metal. 54 minutes of new material. Really 11 new tracks, because some special editions of their first record did include Road of Resistance as a part of it. And if, first of all, to go along with that whole uncomfortable idea, if you like Dragon Force and dislike Baby Metal, shame on you, considering 2 members of the group, including Herman Lee, contributed guitar to Road of Resistance, and really has done work with the group extensively throughout the first and the second release. There's just been some work that they have done that's been pretty fantastic, and you can tell their influence almost immediately on this song as it enters into your ears. It's the first thing that you hear on this disc, and it just, these guitar heroics, these theatrics that you gain through the 2 guitar players, the 2 Dragon Force veterans, it's just really it's something that builds, and it seems like such a perfect fit. It's almost as though the 2 hands shook, and it was just perfect. You know, it was like an unholy matrimony of metal that works out beautifully and looks like, you know, they're the Cleavers or something like that. It's wonderful. It's a powerful opener. It's one that certainly showcases why this band does have some appeal, considering right away you feel like you're listening to a metal record. Now, we've already spoken about Karate, so there's not much really to say there. And I don't want to really dissect this track by track. I still want to leave a good bit of this record to be really taken in by each individual listener. I think that's the real point of music. It's not to spell it out or babyfy it, although the band is called Baby Metal, so wow. It's instead meant to be sort of this guideline, this sort of principle to know what you're getting into, even if you may already have a slight idea. Now, I have to say that the middle portion of this record is where the catchiness really starts to, catch on a little bit. It can become, at times, a little bit predictable, but let's face it, even with that being said, the unpredictable nature of this disc is in its stylization. You get a little bit of everything from this. You get something that might teeter a little bit more along the sides of a pop metal or an alternative metal, radio-friendly, if you really want to call it that. I don't really care, and I don't think they do either. There's just a real diverse mixed bag that comes from the center portion of this disc, from tracks such as Yaba or Amor, or getting into Meditero. It's just really nice to see how these different styles and different incorporations of music really all come together in order to sort of again hold hands with the voices of Baby Metal, these 3 elegant voices, to really perpetuate something that could easily go from the one end of the spectrum that is very much metallic or metal based, and then at other times feel like they are really looking up to like a Yutara and want to kind of emanate what that is all about. So I dig the fact that there's really just so much that goes into this. I feel that the writing on this Baby Metal disc, on Metal Resistance, they took the time to actually look into several styles and build a dynamic record that does not really aim to repeat the same trick twice. It instead aims to diversify. It instead aims to look even deeper. And whenever you get into From Dusk to Dawn, which is largely instrumental, you get this very elegant instrumental going into GG, which I'm assuming means good job. I'm probably wrong. You even get like something that could even resemble a little bit of nu metal, a little bit of rap metal. It's interesting to see. It's almost like an incomposition of a lot of the metal that you hear sort of on the surface, and probably a lot of the metal that is seen as pretty respectable in one place. There's elements of power metal that you get too, and you definitely hear that with Road of Resistance, with the Dragon Force influence, but it's present somewhere in the between as well with some of the riffing that you do get, and it's overall really just another place where this band excels. You hear a growl every so often, but that's not really what this is all about. You probably noticed I stopped at track 10. 10, 11, and 12, we need to talk about these individually, because I'm willing to let the first 9 sort of go with a little bit of discovery, but tracks 10 through 12 on this disc are absolutely magnificent. Some people were worried whenever the 1 was released as a single, that if you release your final song, you no longer have that surprise. The 1 is not the only surprise at the end of this disc. So after this parade of almost musical history that you gain from tracks 1 through 9, you get really a pathway through some of the more elegant styles of metal from tracks 10, 11, and 12, and some huge classic rock influences to watch. No Rain, No Rainbows sounds like something that is dug up from the Queen playbook and is transmitted elegantly into a little bit of progressive metal, and the harmony on this song is wow. It's disgustingly good. Like, it is that good that I have to use an ugly word like disgusting to really describe it. It is disgustingly good because it just fits. It's almost as though, musically speaking, Freddie Mercury and the remainder of Queen had a hand in penning this. It's just, it boosts and boasts their style so nicely, and the homage that is obviously somewhat present, maybe without even realization, is a nice touch. To somebody who is a Queen fan, and you catch up on that sound, you catch up on that signature tone, it's friendly to the ear, and it gives you a lot of good feeling. But then moving on to Tales of the Destinies, and now you're getting into territory that many will respect. Many will love. It's like Dream Theater. That's the best way that I can describe this. This is like Baby Metal does Dream Theater. Almost as though this band, all that they really are doing for 12 tracks is discovering bands that they love and enjoy, and then writing songs in their tone. Which some may consider to be a rip-off process, but they would be wrong, because this song, in spite of its Dream Theater tone, it just sparkles with originality. It sparkles with uniquity. It really gives something back to the listener. It gives more back to the listener than it probably will get credit for. I love the swirling keyboards that you get on this, or the piano, really. It is very elegant, and the structure of this song and the writing of this track is what really shines. That is what causes this song to be a chaotic beauty, really all laced together into one, including a chaotic piano segment that is right in the middle of it, almost as though they went straight for some of the Dream Theater playbook off of albums such as Train of Thought. And then we've talked about the 1, but it needs to be reiterated that this track has that passion and beauty of a real, belted out arena buster epic. Not quite a ballad, but not quite just a, bona fide thrasher. It's instead just it's an arena crasher. It's an epic. It's a go-home song that delivers with such power and majesty that you leave with a smile on your face. You leave very satisfied. It gives you that sort of idea that this band is thanking you. It feels like a thank you. It does, in a large way. Probably not the true meaning of the song, but it still feels like a thank you. And it's knowing that this song is coming does not ruin its majesty whenever you do reach it on the record. It still echoes with that power, and that's the sign of a very well-crafted track. It's a sign of a very well-done song, where not only are you still floored by it whenever you hear it, knowing that it's coming, but the presence of the 2 tracks beforehand, wow. Even with my description, it will not match the feeling that you will get whenever you hear them. That is the one thing that I will say. It may sound as though perhaps I spoiled some elements or some ideas, but believe me, words alone can't really do the job. You have to listen to these to really, figure it out for yourself. Is this a perfect album? No, it really isn't. You know, as I said, really from the onset, at some points in the middle, it does seem like this album does get a little bit predictable. But I still just love the element of taking and drawing influences from various forms of music, not just metal, including hard rock, a little bit of the electronic stuff, you know, the more EDM-based stuff. Really, that's kind of even a real stretch of the imagination there, and just bringing it together. I love the fact that that's what this project really seems to be all about. And it's not so much an embodiment of any one culture, it's not so much an embodiment of any one style. It instead aims to kind of bring unity through all of them. And I dig that a lot about what BABYMETAL has done with Metal Resistance. And I dig that a lot about BABYMETAL and what they're doing in general. I think it's a very cool idea. Some may say that it's a marketed idea, almost like a manufactured idea. Well, let me just say, if it is truly just a manufactured idea, they are really doing something right. You know, and that's me looking at it from a musical critic. It's also me looking at it as a business graduate, somebody who has business management degree, and somebody who looks upon what they are doing and finds favor in it. A score for this album would be a surprise, an 86 out of 100. This is quite honestly a very fine piece of music, a very fine piece of material. Probably going to piss off a lot of people, probably going to make a lot of people very uneasy, especially if at the end of the year this ends up on the top 50 albums of 2016 list. Well, guess what? Prepare to be uncomfortable. Prepare to have that little slice of you feel a little bit violated, because this is something that you just can't ignore. It's something that you can ignore it. You can decide not to listen to it. It's a foolish move, at least in my opinion. But it's something that deserves respect. It really does. It's no longer something that asks for respect. It still is. But it's something that from a listener, I must say it deserves respect. It deserves understanding. It deserves realization that this is not a group that's out to harm. This isn't a group that's out to maim the reputation of metal. It's not a group that is out to destroy metal. So many people, so many fans within the culture took this too far. Took it to heart and really went above and beyond the call of idiocy when describing this. It isn't all of that. Instead, it feels like a moving tribute. It feels very much like these are three girls that are going to grow up within the culture, have gained significant respect from many big names, and they will continue to collaborate, they will continue to corroborate, and if anything, are going to become ambassadors of this music rather than being its mortal foe. I'm not saying you have to come on board. I'm not demanding or stating anything, in fact. It's really just something, though, that it's not just a curiosity. These girls are here to stay. And with their backing band and with their own talent, they're crafting damn good music. What are your thoughts about this album? What are your thoughts of Metal Resistance? I want to know in the comments below. My name is coverkillernation, and I thank you very much for your time. I thank you for watching this video. If you would be so kind as to subscribe if you enjoyed what you saw and enjoyed what you heard. We talk metal a lot. We also talk a lot of other styles of music, a lot of different things. Hope you'll join us. Thank you and good night.